What is something that has aged well? Roger Federer, still a top 10 player at 38. I think the Federer-Nadal-Djokovic hegemony over men's tennis is going to be in the record books. Those three have been in the top 3 for the last 15-ish years. 90s Japanese cars. Especially if they have pop-up headlights. Band of Brothers. Rewatched it again last weekend. You know it's great, but it's even better than you remember. Incredibly, some very old photography. Sure, they might be now in digital and WE, but the composition, attention to detail, there's just so much. Example: this alcohol pouring during Prohibition. https://static.board.panda.com/blog/wp-content/upload/must-c-black-and-dash-white-whole-months/must-c-black-and https://www.reddit.com/r/astronomy/comments/fk8lqk/the Andromeda Galaxy 132 years ago versus now photo. This to anon you should go guild you, Galactic Hunter, not me. They made the post and took the second photo. Film in general, and for movies 70mm. Some of the classic movies from the 50s onward were shot on 70mm and they look phenomenal today. 2001, Ben-Hur, Lawrence of Arabia are all stunningly beautiful. 70mm is so large that it's the equivalent of 18K if converted to digital. Also, check out our analog. The word cool. I remember back when I was middle school, a teacher asked us all if people still say cool. We all said yes, it's still being used. Even now I still think it's a word most people of all ages use. One of the few slang terms that survived for decades. Denim in general. Denim has true cool staying power, but the tightness of denim fluctuates every 10 years or so. Well boiled. Anything scored by John Williams. He makes scenes feel so alive and meaningful. Edit. Thank you for my first award. Alexa, play Duel of the Fates. Did you know that the makers of Home Alone reached out to him 100% on a whim, expecting that he was way out of their league? And he decided to score Home Alone, which 100% changed the feel of it. They had written, acted out a lot of the movie like old Roadrunner cartoons, which it's the music that gives the movie so much of the emotional feel. There are a lot of John Williams score bits that mean a lot to me, but nothing means more to me than the Brachiosaurus reveal music of Jurassic Park. I have watched the movie hundreds of times, rewatched it in 3D, but that scene with that music gets me emotional every single time. Arabic numerals, or what most people call numbers. Since around 500 AD, it's been 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the entire world uses them. Even cultures without the Latin alphabet use them. Always interesting seeing them used in Asian languages writing, as they stand out seeming Western, but they were in fact developed in Asia by Hindu mathematicians and spread throughout Middle East where they became popular, hence, Arabic numerals. Edit. I get it, Arabs don't use this numeral system, what a misnomer, am I right? And an Indian mathematician Aryabhata developed the concept of zero. This is why I included, developed in Asia by Hindu mathematicians. I think they only seem Western because we actually recognize and understand them, in contrast to the moon runes. The earlier episodes of The Simpsons. Classic Simpsons are masterpieces when it comes to comedy. Batman. The animated series. The series that invented Harley Quinn. I find that a few classic rock bands are still very popular with young people today. Bands such as the Beatles, Queen, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones, AC/DC, Metallica, Guns N' Roses and Nirvana especially are the most popular amongst my peers. Loud rocking guitars and whatnot will always be a timeless sound. It might not be the absolute commercially popular thing on the radio, but it will always be around. Astronomer here. There is a star about 200 light-years away from us called the Methuselah star, which appears to be about as old as the universe itself. Specifically, the universe is thought to be about 13.8 billion years old, and the star is, based on its composition, estimated to be 14.46 plus or minus 0.8 billion years old. So presumably if you were on the side of that minus, it's younger than the age of the universe, but still, the fact that it's been shining for a good 13 plus billion years is astounding. For reference, our sun has been burning for about 4.5 billion years, and has about 5 billion more to go. So this star has already lasted longer than our sun ever will. Do you think it might see the end of the universe as well? It hurts my brain to think about something being alive that long, impossibly amazing. Also, Methuselah is a reference to the oldest man in the Old Testament, at 969 years. Aliens 1986. The Alien series is a lot like the Terminator series. There's only 2 of them. Also Predator and Apocalypse Now. Art Nouveau. From the architecture, the jewelry, to the fashion. I find it all incredibly aesthetic. I'm an Art Deco fan, myself. Tetris. Still addictive. I sometimes get hallucinations of falling pieces after playing. That's the Tetris effect. Not the game lol. Terminator 2. Anytime I watch this movie, I think I am even more impressed with the practical and VFX they were able to pull off seamlessly, in 1991. Lego. My parents gave my fiancé all our old Lego. We joke that it's my dowry. He's gotten hours of endless joy out of those boxes of Lego. Edit. It is literally at least 200 pounds of Lego that they gave him. Some of it is from the 60s that my mom had as a girl, the majority was my brother's who moved out and wasn't interested in keeping it, a small amount was mine that I had built and then lost interest in. We play D&D with them now. It's pretty great. Even music I hated when it was new now sounds good because of nostalgia. Well, a lot of pop music isn't bad, just way the fuck overplayed when it first comes out. Not hearing a song every half hour makes it much more palatable. I've almost reached the point of liking that I Like Girls That Wear Abercrombie & Fitch song from 20 years ago. Jurassic Park. I still think the visuals look great in that movie, even if it were to be released today. I prefer the animatronics in JP to all the CGI Chris Pratt movies. Even though they move more fluidly blah blah blah, my brain still knows they're not literally there. It knows the animatronics are literally there in that first movie and likes that better. A nearby theater did a showing a couple years ago, and it looked amazing. It doesn't just hold up, it blows a lot of more recent films out of the water. Weird Al. Celebrity after celebrity comes out with drug problems, abuse allegations, friends with Weinstein, and there's Weird Al, singing a coronavirus polka. I started listening to Weird Al when I was about 15, my kids are now the same age and they enjoy listening to his songs as well. The man is a funny, irreverent and witty genius. Never forget his Oscar-winning classic, spoiler alert. He grabs his own Oscar at the beginning of the movie, UHF. A timeless classic indeed. The First Men in Black. A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. Calvin and Amp. Hobbes. My 9-year-old recently discovered one of my old C and Amp H collections. He has gotten every book the library has and just reads them over and over again. It's great when your kid loves something just as much as you did at their age. Steve Carell. That man has aged like a fine wine. He looks younger than S1 Michael still. Lord of the Rings trilogy. Still great. Also I enjoy the Rankin-Bass version of The Hobbit. I wasn't around yet for the original Star Wars trilogy, but I sure am glad I was the perfect age to experience Lord of the Rings when it first came out. It was all me and my friends talked about. I heard it put that the trilogy was made at the perfect time. CGI had gotten just good enough to be able to make all the fantastical stuff work, but not good enough to rely on for everything. The CG paired with incredible miniatures was done extraordinarily well. There are a couple of green screen shots that have lost a little quality over time, mostly with the hobbits in front of scenes, but they did things like really built Rohan on a hill and relied on huge sets with loads of extras. Somehow the stars aligned and Peter Jackson assembled the perfect crew for writing and production, and they gathered perhaps the most ideal cast imaginable to produce a timeless screen adaptation of the greatest fantasy story ever told. Considering the direction the world has gone more recently, perhaps Jackson drained too much of the world's positive energy and sent us into a freefall of greed, plague, and pestilence. Ilúvatar save us. 2019. I miss it so much. To paraphrase Sarah Carter, after completing my free 3-month trial of 2020, I wish to cancel my subscription. Betty White. Nodding in appreciation as my comment to the question is, The Golden Girls. It has aged better than Sex and the City. Paul Rudd. He has a Dorian Gray picture hanging up somewhere. My 84-year-old mother who still walks 3 miles a day and has all her wits about her. Life goals. The first two Home Alone movies. They are still hilarious and very fun to watch after all these years. Anyone I know has watched them at least 2 to 3 times. You see this shit? This, Home Alone 2. Lost in New York, shit. It's a grid system, motherfucker. Where you at, 24th and 5th? Where you wanna go, 35th and 6th? 11 up and 1 over, ya simple bitch. The Twilight Zone. The series premiered in 1959 and so many of the episodes still hold up today because of its brilliant writing. Rod Serling was so far ahead of his time. I'm kind of tempted to watch the episode, The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. Seasons 1 to 3 of SpongeBob. Classics to this day. Once upon a time there was an ugly barnacle, he was so ugly that everyone died. The end. My go-to seasons when it's late at night and there's nothing to do. Especially the Graveyard Shift episode. Avatar: The Last Airbender. 15 years later and it still remains one of my top-rated shows. It was such a well-developed show and the lore was outstanding. I just finished rewatching it and I agree. It's definitely timeless. 12 Angry Men. It's over 60 years old and still a very great and compelling movie to watch in 2020. Old Nintendo games. The speedrun community alone speaks for this. It's crazy how much hype there still is for 20 to 30-year-old single-player games. Also, just because I've gotten a bunch of replies about this. I'm using single-player games as an example I have observed. I don't personally play old multiplayer games as much, but I have noticed that there is a huge community for the single-player games lol. I'm not in any way saying they're more popular than multiplayer games. I'm aware that old multiplayer games, even non-Nintendo, StarCraft, AOE, etc., are still huge. I recently got the NES emulator on the Switch. There's a Mario Golf game, can't remember exact name, that is legitimately so much fun. My brother and I have been playing together online from opposite coasts. It's incredible how much of the difficulty of golf they packed into a game for which the controller only has 2 buttons. The graphics are horrid of course, but they put together a pretty great game. And #X200B. Meanwhile, some of the other NES games on the emulator are absolutely atrocious, but hey, they can't all be gems. Absolutely. Same with Super Nintendo games. The Princess Bride. Megamind. The villain being a nice guy incel was absolutely ahead of its time, and I think now that we are farther away from Will Ferrell we can appreciate his role more now that it's not something oversaturated. The animation still looks amazing, and the music selection feels very reminiscent of both Shrek and Guardians of the Galaxy. The comedy doesn't feel dated at all, and very timeless. You could watch multiple times and learn something new every time, as I have. A lot. It's starting to get a lot more love now, which is great because now I can talk about it with other people and not look batshit crazy. There is no Easter Bunny, there is no Santa, and there is no Queen of England. Oh, you're a villain all right, but not a super one. What's the difference? Welcome to the Jungle Starts presentation. Heath Ledger as Joker. You know, you kind of remind me of my father. I hated my father. Shawshank Redemption. The GameCube. Seriously, play some old games. A.E. Kirby Air Ride is still a blast and looks fairly good even nowadays. Definitely Rick rolling. It has been a thing for about a decade and is one of the most popular memes and ways to troll on the internet. My 13-year-old son has just discovered Rick rolling. He thinks it's hilarious. His friends think he's NQR. Me. Smiling face with smiling eyes.